promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go!
Let's all go to Tastings. Let's all go to Tastings. Let's all go to Tastings to get ourselves a drink.
And now, on with the show.
So, do you know how the concrete egg started, the origins, the history, anything like that about kind of our theme tonight?
I don't think I know anything about a concrete egg.
Okay. So, it was about, I guess, we have to go back about 3,200 years.
Okay.
A
long time ago?
Well, the dinosaurs roamed the earth. What had happened was a pterodactyl had left its nest. The egg had actually petrified.
Yes.
Early man, or the Neanderthal, had gone up there, hollowed it out, put his grapes in there, buried it.
Okay.
300 years later, unearthed the egg,
yeah,
opened the top,
and
there was the
there
grind.
it is. Oh my gosh, is that true?
That's not true at all. I should have said dragon egg instead of pterodactyl.
Oh my gosh, I
they're
totally,
close.
yes, did I say dinosaur? No, I still said, anyway, my name is Carrie, and I'm with Tastings Wine Shop, and today I have with me Tom and Tastevin. Today we are featuring wines that are set in concrete. So all of these wines are both aged and fermented in concrete. That gives us some really cool, really unique, and extra delicious wines. And Tom is here to tell us a little bit more about it.
I am. Hello again. My second round here. I guess I feel a little bit more uncomfortable than I did the first round. So we're just going to get kind of right into concrete, aging, fermenting. Actually, Sarah came up with it. Super creative idea.
Yeah.
So I had to go through our whole portfolio, figure out what is aged, what is fermented.
She said, you want work? I'll give you work.
It was work. It was work. I would say in our entire portfolio, we probably have 8 wines. So
Nice.
we narrowed it down to 4, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
We've got some old world and new world, which is always nice when you're tasting wines. A little compare and contrast. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun to kind of figure out what we had. Study up a little bit about the history of it, what it does and doesn't do for wines, and I think with concrete, you can't really talk about concrete if you don't talk about oak aging and stainless steel. So oak aging has been kind of the standard set for fine wine making for the last 100 years, and it seems like concrete is a new thing. There's a lot of new, younger winemakers making wines in concrete. They're a little bit trendy here in the last 3 or 4 years, but it actually goes back a lot further. It goes back a couple hundred years. So they've been doing it a long time. Concrete basically gives you a little bit of that oxidation that you get from oak, but it doesn't give you any of the oak flavors. So when we're talking about oak flavors, those are big flavors when we're talking about mostly red wines and actually a lot of Chardonnay and white wines as well. So you have American and French oak, the 2 big ones. There's Hungarian and a few others, but when we talk about oak, I think we mainly talk about French and American. So we're talking about imparting with both those oaks a lot of baking spices. Coconut. With American oak, you get some dill, a lot of vanilla. So you take all those things off the table and get kind of a stripped down version of what the grape really represents. And I think that's what these guys were kind of seeking out when they decided to take these particular varietals and ferment and age them in concrete.
So I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, let's get into it
Yes,
then.
I'm excited.
All right, we're going to start domestically here. Just a few hours away in Walla Walla is a winery called Vapiano. Our friend Justin Wiley, who, if you've been to Tastings Wine Shop in the last, well, basically since they've opened, you've probably been to hopefully you've been to a Justin Wiley tasting. They seem to attract people out of the woodwork, and they're usually a pretty popular night. So he made this wine, I think he started in 2016, was the first vintage of the Black Label single vineyard from Yakima, foot of the Rattlesnake Hills, Sauvignon Blanc. So 100% Sauvignon Blanc in concrete egg. So it spends 6 months in the concrete egg. And this is the only concrete egg wine that we will try of the 4 wines. So
Okay, sweet.
as far as what makes that different than all the other fermenters that are made out of concrete, or the aging tanks that are made out of concrete, the shape of the egg, there's a reason behind that shape, and that's that it constantly stirs the lees.
Oh yeah, yep.
As it ferments, it kind of keeps a continuous circle, which suspends the lees, which gives the wine a little bit richer mouthfeel.
Yeah, oh yeah, this, for Sauv Blanc, this has a lot of body to it. And also mega fruit on the nose, and also the palate, but right away I just get hit with like this pineapple mango thing going on. It's so cool. It's not super green and grassy like those New Zealand Sauv Blancs that I also enjoy, but this one is much more fruit forward.
Yeah, I think there's grassiness in the back. There's a touch of grapefruit in the back on the nose. But you're right. There's a lot of tropics on this. There's no question.
Tropics. Super cool wine. Honestly, if I blinding this wine, I maybe could get that it's a Sauv Blanc, but it's just so fruity. It's super cool, but it's not sweet. I know people think like, oh, fruit and sweet, and I wouldn't say that it's like there's a ton of RS on this at all. But yeah, really cool wine. I really dig this. I definitely think if you brought this to a party, it would be a really good crowd pleaser. Especially for people that are like, I don't like Sauv Blanc, and then you give them this, and you're like, bet.
Yeah. No, I think that, that kind of micro oxidation that we were talking about, however you pronounce that word, adding oxygen just a little bit to wine definitely lets the wine develop. So you get that, to me, that unctuousness, that round, kind of viscous, voluptuous feel that you don't get from Loire, quite honestly. I think you could if you put Loire Sauvignon Blanc in concrete. Maybe. But this is a very, I would say, a decadent Sauvignon Blanc.
Decadent's a good word. That's good. Yeah, it's a cool wine. I really dig that.
Blood orange, peach, long finish.
It does have a long finish, which is says something. It says something. It's quality wine.
Definitely.
Quality.
Okay, let's get on to red wine. Want a little rinse?
Sure. I mean, why not?
Rinse. On to Marchese di Grezi. So we're on to Piedmont in northern Italy. One of our favorite regions, I would say, and definitely one of our favorite producers. So typically in Piedmont, you're talking about Nebbiolo, for sure. And depending on what side you're on, Barolo or Barbaresco, you're either going to be talking about one of those wines. So this is on the Barbaresco side, which people think Barbaresco tends to fall on that more kind of feminine side of the wine. Really pretty, a lot of aromatics, lots of roses, things like that. Pretty. So think in terms of that when you're drinking this Dolcetto. So this is made by a Barbaresco producer. It's made by a Barbaresco producer that has a monopole or a monopoly, basically, on a entire mountainside or crew in Piedmont, in Barbaresco, which is actually they're the only ones that have that. So
nice.
The only ones that make a Barbaresco from that hillside. They're also, if you look on this label,
he's gonna get up and show
you can see that. See how the Monte Arabaldo is in the bigger letters and the Dolcetto is in just slightly smaller font? So that is on purpose. They do that to accentuate the region. So you'll also see like a little small R up there. So that's a registered trademark.
Yep.
So they are, again, talking about monopolies, they are the only people that have a the right to call the Monte Arabaldi Mountaintop Dolcetto. So that's why they have that little
so
trademark.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah,
So
that is awesome.
So, you know, a little bit different. It was an old hunting lodge is where it started.
Nice.
So these guys started, you know, again, you know, we're talking a couple hundred years, a lot of history there. And this is on top of the Martinenga. So it's only 2 kilometers away from the actual winery. So this is 5 months in concrete. They do a little bit of stainless as well, and then blend it together.
It makes for a very approachable Dolcetto. I know sometimes they're like, whoa, settle down. But this one is very approachable. And also, I read a little bit something about a warmer vintage. I don't mean to play like vintage things, but it is acidic and it's bright and it's Dolcetto, but it tastes like it actually came from a warmer vintage. Like it has some warmth to it. It's a really cool bottle. I dig this.
Yeah, Dolcetto is definitely the table wine for Piedmont.
Yeah.
With Nebbiolo, you know, competing with Nebbiolo and Barbera. You know, Barbera from both Alba and Asti. People are doing, you know, major oak stuff. They're doing really cool stuff with Barbera, kind of taking that, you know, as far as they can. While I feel like Dolcetto still kind of is developing in the region and developing in the States too. But you can run the gamut from kind of even here buying it, I think, in the United States, very basic Dolcetto to very pretty Dolcetto. And I would put this on the pretty spectrum. This is if you like wines that are very floral, dried flowers, potpourri, if you like really like perfumey wines on the palate, you are going to love this wine.
And
like,
pretty in the glass.
And very pretty in the glass.
Just show your glass here.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, very pretty in glass. Yeah, I love this wine. I think it's very cool. Again, I think I've mentioned before, I'm not a huge Italian. I like Italian wine, so I'm not the biggest fan of it. And I know a lot of people out there are the same. But this wine I would absolutely drink just on a weekday. I think it's very pretty, it's very approachable, and it's very food friendly too, as well.
Definitely.
Good
Yeah,
wine.
I think you can drink with or without fruit. Slight chill in the summer by itself.
Yes.
Good to go.
Sounds so good.
All right. We've seen this guy, right? Legator, Eloise Legator. Now Clemens has, you know, kind of taken over. 6th generation in Alto Adige. So.
Oh yes, the barnyard wine.
Yes. So furthest Germanic speaking town in the world is Magra, which is where they have their winery. So we were right on the Dolomites. I know I don't want to beat this horse to death, but this area is amazing. If you ever go to Italy, you have to go up to Alto Adige. So yeah, we're on to Lagrein, which is an ancient grape, really. So they have documentation of Lagrein in going back to the 1300s. So it's been around that area forever. I don't know that it grows in many other places besides the Alto Adige.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
So it likes the low level, it likes warmth. It's right on the Adige River. So alluvial soils, you get a little bit of cooling from the river, but it does like warm weather. And it's an very interesting wine. There's not a lot of it grown in the world.
Yeah,
Which
is cool.
Yes, very cool.
That's so cool. You can impress your friends. Say, look, I have a weird grape.
And it is weird, and it's a little bit, I wouldn't say austere, but it has this kind of animalistic
It does.
characteristic on the nose.
And then this is we call
I don't want to scare anybody away, but
no. Don't be afraid. Animal quality is like good in wine. It sounds bad, but that's good. I think we call this the tart cherry wine, right? So like you have those cherries that you want to make a pie with, and you still need sugar. That is what comes through here. I also get some balsamic vinegar thing going on. but it's still beautiful. It's still a beautiful wine.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of like suede or like raw leather characteristic to it. Like like not a catcher's mitt that's been oiled for 50 years. This is like raw.
Wow, look at that.
Very, very raw. Not to get too geeky about the wine terms, but
Song?
I've seen Somm, yes.
They say some weird things. So
they
you're good.
definitely do, yeah. The tennis ball line will go down in history, I think. Yeah.
It's a fresh cut rubber hose is what it was.
That's a good one as well, yep.
You should add yours, the leather.
Well, sweaty animal then. Let's throw it in there. Why not?
No, I dig that one. I mean, it's not unpleasant. I know sometimes wine descriptors sound like, but this is a beautiful wine. It's cool. It's a cool wine.
It's a distant relative to Syrah.
It has Syrah notes.
It does.
It sounds like meat, like bloody things.
Yeah. There is iron. There's minerality. I think quite a bit of those two things.
Yep.
But it's definitely, it doesn't have the body. I would put it on the light to medium bodied, more like a Pinot body, but with a Syrah meaty, gamey.
Yeah, it's a cool wine.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
It's very
going
complex.
On. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, definitely.
And a cool grape. So if you want a bottle to impress your friends with your weird grape knowledge, there it is.
Because everyone's impressed with weird grape knowledge.
I mean, I am. My friends aren't.
I know, because we're geeky and dumb, and we have very few friends. So.
Yeah, that's the key.
So it's easy to impress them. We've only got 5.
Like cumulatively,
total,
exactly. Between both of us.
Between both of us, yes, definitely. All right, moving on. So now we're in South America.
Peppers.
Yeah. Yep. So Chile, and it is their trademark to have a little bit of that green or jalapeno pepper characteristic on the nose. I will say I was reading an article, and people that get that. What they think is pyrazine or some of that green bell pepper. If they pick up on that first, that's kind of all that they can focus on. I'm one of those people.
Yeah,
I'm real sensitive to it.
Because actually,
So the article, what they were saying was, don't swirl it, let it rest in the glass, go back to it, and then you can get kind of past that. Green pepper, jalapeno pepper, and then you start getting all the fruits.
That's such good advice. I would have never thought to do that because, you're going to smell this and you're going to be like, especially if you're more sensitive to it. The minute I smell this, I was like, whoa, jalapeno. That's great advice. Yeah, and the fruit, you let it sit and the fruit does start to shine through.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. That's good advice.
Again, I know, it was great because I do that too. I kind of key on the things that I identify with and then kind of have a hard time getting past that. So it's fun to realize that you have that, like your palate is sensitive towards one thing, salinity, tannin, pepper,
baking spices,
baking spices, oak, cinnamon, things like that.
Alcohol.
And so identify that and then get that in your brain, but then set it aside and then look past that. And then
just set the glass down. And let it settle.
Get back to it.
That's great advice. This the fruit does start to come through, and I do get more like darker fruit notes after you get past that pepper thing going on.
We should talk a little bit about the winery and the varietals in it. We got so excited about tasting the wine.
That's cool.
It's very cool, and it has a lot of history actually, which is cool because it's a value wine. It's
absolutely, yeah.
Under $20, right around that $16, which is incredible value for the amount of wine that you get from this glass. But Jay Bouchon, the family moved over from Bordeaux in the 18th century. It was late 1800s, 1700s actually, early 1800s, and started making wine in Chile. So the Canto Norte is what we're drinking from Jay Bouchon. They make a counterpart called the Connaisseur. So it's kind of a play on the Gironde River in Bordeaux. Mm-hmm. So you got right bank, left bank. Mm-hmm. Here you have north and south. So you just kind of, you take the river and switch it like, let's see, it would go like that. So the north is the Merlot, the south is the Cab dominant, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's super cool.
Yeah, and 4 months in concrete, and so it's just it's definitely letting the fruit speak for itself.
Yeah, the fruit shines.
Yeah, and lighter. It's not. There's nothing heavy or laden about any of these wines. I think all of these wines could take a chill and benefit from that, or you can drink them at room temperature.
Oh yeah, I'm enjoying them at room temperature as well. There are a couple standout, but yeah, definitely it's like chill. It is summertime and it's gonna get hot. I think I read something. It's going to be the hottest summer on track or something. I hope not.
Here?
Plants will die. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
So anyway, yeah, super cool wines. All 4 of them have touched concrete. Concrete's cool. Now you know why. And as a quick reminder, all 4 bottles are 15% off if you buy them all at once, and individually they are 10% off. I think, are we still running that 10% off? Yeah, so we are still running that 10% off takeout discount. So please bring in those takeout receipts and you'll get 10% off your whole order. Super cool, and restaurants are starting to open back up slowly, so do continue to support them. And it's support tastings. We are very appreciative and we are very thankful, and we are open. We are doing food service, so get your pizzas. We know you love our flatbreads, and have the beautiful wine that we offer.
And there's still, you can come in and taste here, so you can have a glass. There's social distancing. They've got tables spread apart.
Yeah, it looks so cool in here.
When I came in tonight to do the video, they actually had 2 tables were taken up, spaced apart, but people were in here, having a drink, having a good time, trying to get some, back to some sort of normalcy.
Some sort of normal, yeah. And wine is a cultural and shared drink, so why not come out and have some wine?
Oh.
So yeah.
Anyway, myself.
Yeah.
Hey.
So cheers.
Cheers.
And as our motto goes, life is too short to drink bad wine.
Cheers. A dragon.
Yeah, I really like dragons, and so I weirdly have read a lot about dragons. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I actually purchased a book about dragon anatomy, so I think it might have been a dragon that laid the concrete egg.
Well, since you've read the anatomy, female and male dragons lay eggs, or is it just the female?
Just the females.
Just the females.
Just the females lay the eggs, and the males are the ones. Actually, only males can breathe fire, so it's the males that protect the nest.
There you have it. Who knew?